Hey everyone, it is the end of August. I am ecstatic to show you around the garden. We have so many things blooming and we have a brand new project that we just got done today. I feel like my brain has been sun scorched. My body is definitely tired, but it was well worth it. So watch the video and let me know what you think of our brand new garden area. Things in August on the homestead look a little bit different, and I'm so thankful to report that we have some projects finally done that we've been working on through the entire summer. There are still, of course, some projects that aren't finished, and one of those projects is the flagstone. I think last time I did a tour, we talked about putting the flagstone in a different area. So seeing it here might be a little bit of a surprise for some of you, unless you follow me on Instagram and watch our stories. We recently decided to put more sod in than planned and use the flagstone for pathways. So here's the start of it. The boys, it took them 2 hours just to put in that one stone. It's going to be the hardest because it had to go in the deepest because it's so thick. That piece right there is probably 4.5, 5 inches. And the ground right here is really compacted. So putting in this pathway is going to be quite a bit more of a chore than I thought it was going to be. I thought we could just move a little bit of dirt, put it down, and then put the flagstone around it. But that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. But it will be gorgeous and so worth it when it's done. You can see these concrete pieces over here. These pieces go to a brand new fountain that we're going to be putting in, and the fountain is going to go over here. That way you have pretty views in both directions, and when you're sitting over here in our new grass area, which I'll show you in a minute, you can enjoy the sound of the water. Isn't that pretty? We can start the tour by talking about what is growing on this side of our spare room. I still don't have the shutters up, but the dahlias have grown up really well, and this pineapple sage, which is one of my favorites just to walk by and brush, and then it has beautiful penstemon red flowers in the fall, so they'll start blooming hopefully within the next month that the hummingbirds love to come and check out. I have status here. I have lavender and white and a deeper purple that I'm about to cut for dried flowers. And then here's our dahlias. These ones are a little bit behind compared to some of our others. I don't know if that's because these were started from cuttings or because I cut them back too far. I think I cut my dahlias back 3 different times doing some experiments, and dahlias are new to me. But I do have some dahlias that are blooming, and I've done some cuttings for some flower arrangements. This is one about to come up, and I am impressed with their stem length. These look like they're getting a little bit of powdery mildew, so I'm going to find an organic sulfur treatment to put on them. I think the rainwater must come down on this one because the others around it don't have it. And if I come around to this side, you can see our gomphrena, pink and white gomphrena, which is just beautiful. And they've been fun to put in my arrangements, but the stems are pretty small. So hopefully within the next couple weeks, the stem length will start to improve on those so I can put them in my mason jar bouquets. And you can see this dahlia right here is looking pretty sad. That dahlia actually was falling down on the ground after I had tied it up. So it's going to take probably another week or so before it gets looking in better shape. And you can tell I have zinnias. These are Queen Lime. And this one is open all the way here, and how I know that is because the pollen has really become apparent on it. If you look at this guy here, that's not quite open. The petals aren't all the way open, and then there's only a little bit of pollen showing there. And then I have one dahlia that is almost fully open, and I can't remember what the name of this dahlia is here. But it is so beautiful, and there are so many blooms all around all of these dahlias here. So by next video, I should definitely have a lot to show you. And I think I broke a stem yesterday, which I'm seeing here, some evidence of wilting that it looked like it might be able to make it, but I think I'm gonna have to cut it back, which is pretty sad. Let's take a look at what we have growing in the greenhouse. So the greenhouse still has my fall starts in it, which they actually should be in the ground. So I am behind with getting these out, and they're super small. I think I'm lacking humidity in here, and they are just suffering, and I have lost a bunch of seedlings too, as you can tell by those right there. So I do need to get the ones that are looking healthy out. I have beets and a whole bunch of different turnips and kale, and I believe some chard and cabbages that need to go out. So let's see if we can find a spot for them as we tour around the rest of the garden. The beds on either side of the peacock entrance are doing pretty well. We have some calendula, which is about to come into bloom for, I think it's third flush. It's probably a better continual blooming plant than I think it is, but I've been kind of neglecting it. There's some yarrow here. My cosmos have finally started blooming. I have some zebra wild geraniums here. I think there's another name for those. And my zinnias actually look like they're taller than the trees. They should really start blooming quite a bit. Over here we have some coleus. Two different types. You can see the bright pink over here, which is gorgeous, and within the last week it finally started getting bigger. I swear it's been 3 inches for the entire summer. This coleus just looks absolutely stunning. I really love all the colors in that. I'm hoping that I can find some more of the seeds. My mom started that for me last year. I have stock, which is supposed to be a spring bloomer, but these stock have held on and started blooming again, so I've just left them there. My echinacea that's in here has started blooming, which is what this pink flower is here. It's a perennial. There's more yarrow in this one, some more calendula, which the geese ate this one all the way down, and it's coming back and it's going to start blooming. Some Johnny jump ups, some more hardy geraniums there, some veronica that's coming in to bloom here. You can just barely see those bloom stalks there, and some Gara behind it. I have been pretty disappointed with my canna lilies and mint. I actually like the mix together quite a bit, but I've only had just a few blooms of the lilies, and if you guys have any tips for me on getting them to bloom, let me know. This one is really just starting to take off. The geese had taken back all of the mint, and then I had some watering issues, so the lily was definitely not very happy. So hopefully that's fixed. And then I showed you the hanging basket, and I'm having some issues still with my hanging baskets, and I think it goes back again to watering, but the little mini petunias just don't do well for me, and I'm not sure I'm gonna grow them again. Last year I had a pretty good year with them. Previous years were okay, and then this year has just been rough. We've been so dry, so they look pretty lopsided. I actually cut them back pretty harsh yesterday because they were looking a little leggy too, so I'm hoping in the next month everything can kind of fill in. There's Miss Oreo. That little stinker, I've been trying to keep her inside during the day because she has been getting these gorgeous little neon green finches that are just super friendly and obviously not very smart because she's been taking them out one by one. And she was just over here watching a hummingbird, but I have never seen her catch one of them. I think they're too fast and a little bit smarter. But I did want to show you this view of my hollyhocks. All of these were started by my mom from seed, and the colors on these are just gorgeous. Look at that pink and white, and then red on the throats. And then look at this one. I love those fluffy edges. There's whites and pinks. And I think I'm just gonna let them reseed themselves here. This one has quite a few flowers that have been spent and some seed heads that are forming. And the plant is so big and the wind definitely gets it, and so it's leaning. And here is my turquoise door that I have been talking to you all about getting. And in Latin cultures, the turquoise door, blue door, is supposed to keep evil spirits away. And then I added these wood ristras that I picked up at New Mexico State University, the Chili Institute there. And I think they look perfect on either side of the door. And I love that they're going to keep through the winter, and hopefully for many years to come, maybe I'll just have to repaint them. So if I pan around this way, you can see the Mother's Day garden. And in the Mother's Day garden, we have daisies, euphorbia, snapdragons. The garlic chives have begun to bloom. The chamomile has started to put up a couple flowers, but not too many here. You can just see a couple of their beautiful yellow heads. Some of the petals have fallen off. The cucumbers back here are doing really well along this line. I harvested quite a few and we used them for canning. There is some autumn joy sedum here that looks like it is just starting to bloom. Some salvia behind that, some perennial salvia, some annual salvia, which that is about 3.5 foot tall, Russian sage behind it. And then we have a dahlia in here, and it's called Mother's Day. And I think I actually have 2 different colors of dahlia in here because this is a totally different color. The Mother's Day dahlia is a maroon dahlia, and it's beautiful. It is so pretty. But I'm really interested and excited to see what color this dahlia is going to be. If any of y'all have any hints, let me know. You can see all the turkeys and chickens. You can hear chicks in the background. Everybody's headed to bed here. Oreo's still following me around. I'm going to show you the back market rows. A lot of our market rows are empty right now back here. Here they are. And that is because we have used the majority of the sunflowers for our bouquets and cut flower arrangements. So we've come through, we've cut, and we've actually resown. So there are a bunch of sunflower seedlings that are coming up. And hopefully we get to see them bloom before the frost. I definitely am a little bit late in getting this next succession planting in, but you never know. Maybe we'll look out. Oh, there's one of those cute little birds. I don't know if you guys saw it flying. It's on that sunflower that's down right there. That is one of the neon finches I was talking about. Kind of walked back. Our green beans are doing really well. These are Kentucky Wonder. In fact, I need to come out and harvest in the morning here. I don't think they were getting enough water. That's why that middle part right there hardly has any. And then this next part had a leak, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. So I actually increased the amount of time that is getting watered. We have some corn that we planted a little late that's not doing so well. Some more sunflowers back there. And let's go say hi to the piggies. They're bedding down for the night. Hi, pumpkins. Hi. I don't have nothing for you. You got up for nothing. But the pigs are definitely getting big. It's butcher time. So we are looking to get our walk-in cooler. That is our next project on the list, is to get the cement pad laid so that we can get our walk-in cooler here, so that we can get these guys up for the winter time. I wanted to talk with you all a little bit about what we feed our pigs. So I do have some feed here, and I normally get their feed from a local feed mill in town, but my husband just picked that up really quick, and we actually use that as a backup. Mostly what they're getting is spoiled food that comes from my husband's work from the warehouse. So there's stuff that's been wilted, maybe a little bit moldy, has some issues that they can't use, like these eggs here, the pallet was damaged, so it's done. There's some tortillas here that came that were just all stuck together. There's blueberries back here, more tortillas, a ton of cucumbers right there, some cheese on the bottom. So we feed these guys about 70 pounds of food a day, and we really try to work hard to make sure that they're getting fresh produce and dairy for protein to make this pig meat. So it's more of a sustainable product because it's using product that will wind up in the landfills. Hi. And they're happy piggies. Yeah. I don't know if I have shown you all a view from the back part of the property before, but this is it. And the sun is just starting to go down. Now the next part that I'm going to show you is something that we have worked on for a really long time. So let's go take a different view to show you. All right, hard work. It has taken days of prep, with months in between days of prep, because we haven't been able to just concentrate on getting this done. I'm glad that we waited because it's now cooler, and the summer has been incredibly hot. It's been about 10 degrees hotter than it usually is over the summer. So we picked up the sod yesterday. It was actually grown in our mountains about 10 miles away, which is fabulous because we know that this variety of grass will do well in our climate. It is so pretty. We are going to have to work to water it 3 times a day because it still is getting into the mid 80s. And we're so dry. We're just not getting any rain. So I'm about to go turn on the sprinklers, but we had really compacted land, had to use a jackhammer with a shovel attachment to get all of this ground loose. We added some topsoil to it. We put in some more of the railroad ties. We fixed other areas of railroad ties because it is on a slight slant, so we wanted to make sure it would grade. And I think it turned out beautifully. So this was the area that we were originally talking about was going to be the flagstone. And I'm very, very happy that we did it in the grass. I think that it makes the area look a lot more complete and balanced instead of just one small area of grass. I'll show you a couple of the plants that are growing inside of the U-shaped garden around, I think we might call this the grass garden, I'm not sure. But you could tell from the other views that there are some gorgeous, just huge Shasta daisies that are growing in here, and they are almost the size of my hand. They're so big, really pretty. This Gara is about to start blooming. It's a perennial. We have hearts and flowers here, which is an annual with some nasturtium and heuchera around it. I have more cucumbers back here, which I just harvested a couple of those today. Some zinnias. These are, I think, supposed to be queen lime orange. I'm not sure. Anyway, they did not turn out how we wanted them to turn out. The blooms are really tiny, and the colors just aren't quite what we thought they were going to be. We do have some, I think these are mine, and they are supposed to be queen lime pink. I don't even know. Anyway, my zinnias did not turn out how I thought they were going to over here, but they're still really pretty, and I'm still using them in the arrangements. They're just not, see, I accidentally got that one when we were doing stuff today. Not as big as I thought they were going to be. We have some foxglove that's blooming that I did not think was supposed to bloom until next year. It's been exciting to see that. We have raspberries and blackberries. No berries on them, just the plants. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use these for cut flowers because I just don't think we're going to get any berries on them again. In fact, I might pull them and move them somewhere else next year. So we have some sage here, some chard, thyme. So the herbs are doing really well here. Look at how tiny. It's like a mini zinnia there. Back here, we have more cucumbers. And again, I think I mentioned this last time that this area is getting a lot more shade. So my cucumbers just aren't producing like I thought they would. We have some birdhouse gourds, which look at how gorgeous the flowers are for these gourds. If I can get some focus there. There we go. They're beautiful. And the gourds are just amazing no matter what size they are. So this is a little guy. There's some big ones that are just tucked away, hidden here, all down the line. There's supposed to be a bunch of pumpkins in here, but they may not be tolerating the shade as well. You can see the back side of our quail pens here. And here's another view of the grass. Definitely cannot wait to do some farm to table dinners in here. Let's go see how the OG garden, that's what we call our beds that we first put in. We actually brought them from another house, the raised beds, and market rows are doing. So this one here we call our perennial garden. It's also our OG perennial garden. And it's looking a little raggedy. I think I might switch it up next year. I definitely want to find something else to put around as borders. These telephone poles were in there a lot better. I don't know what happened. They got flipped around, and there's some railroad ties here because we were using some to make a brand new little bed, which I'll show you in a minute. But it just doesn't look cohesive. It looks a little wild, which wildflowers and perennials, that's fine. That's what's in here. You can see the gorgeous little flowers of orange and maroon are coreopsis, and they will reseed themselves in there. And it's just always pretty to have that mix. This is another gorgeous view. This here is a lot of our pumpkins. We have white pumpkins in here, Big Max pumpkins. And again, on this side, the plants look really well. They're healthy, but there's just not a lot of fruit going on them. So we'll see what happens. We still have about a month and a half. I think I can show you maybe it's a Cinderella pumpkin that's in there. It's a Musque Provence that's in there. I'm not really sure. So there's a few. I need to come pick beets for market. They're back behind here. They were really slow to finish up. Carrots, sweet potatoes, which are looking really good. And there's some other potatoes that are mixed in there. They're just kind of falling on them. I'm using my basil this year for cut flowers. I'm not sure if we're going to make pesto this year or not. I love how my finger is just in there. And there's some, I think that's dinosaur kale, and I love those color contrasts in there. We have leek seeds, and then again a bunch of the birdhouse gourds are growing in here. And I paused because I just got really sad because I think my husband accidentally broke off this one and only melon vine. Oh no, there's another one growing in the weeds right there. I have tried for the kiddos to grow cantaloupe, and I just can't do it. So if anybody has any recommendations for a place that has cooler nights for a melon that grows well, please let me know. Let's come take a look at the raised beds. And isn't that backdrop just amazing? These are the mountains that are to the north of us. That took a minute to figure out. But there's 4 o'clocks that are open right in front of me. That was just a hawk moth that went by. They're the ones that lay the worms for your tomatoes, and I actually just let those go. So I have some tomatoes that are just growing like crazy in here. I don't have them staked up. I just have a lot of areas of tomato that are like that this year. It's just been a little bit hectic. So trying to keep them trellised and caged has been interesting. These tomatoes here are the ones that I have taken the time to make sure they're in their cages and done some pruning, but they're still, as you can tell, falling as well. I did take the sunflowers out of this bed. They were starting to just fall from too many storms. And we planted some carrots in here. And the germination just wasn't very good. I wasn't watching them enough. But I do have some cool things going on in here. And don't worry about that dirt. It just got thrown in there. I had a heart attack earlier because I thought it was a gopher. Had figured out how to get in the bed. But turns out my hubby was just throwing some extra good dirt. But this is what happens when you let your radishes go to seed. This whole thing with these cute little flowers. And they create these seed pods, which are supposed to taste just like radishes. So I'm going to try those tomorrow, and I actually might try to can some of them too. I think they would look absolutely beautiful in a can. So I'll let you all know how that tastes. We have some gorgeous Brussels sprouts growing here. And I don't even know what this is. I think this is a cauliflower. I'm not sure, but is really happy that the weather has cooled off so it can grow. That broccolini right there with the yellow flowers, I'm letting it grow to seed because it really did well. And I'm going to save those seeds for next year. And that's probably the only broccoli that I'm going to grow. I'm not doing cauliflower anymore. I don't even know if I'm going to do cabbage because I just don't think our climate is quite right for it. Guys, this stuff was planted back in the spring and it's just now starting to ripen up. See if I can back up and show you what the arbor looks like. I love it. I wanted to have the arbor where you could see the sun setting behind it. So I think it's a perfect view with the mountains too. The scarlet runner beans are on here. And they are hot pink. Aren't they gorgeous? That color. And they produce the most fun beans inside. They are, let's see if we can open one up so I can show you. The kids call them the magic beans, or we tell them it's magic beans because they are so exciting. This is the thumb I broke, and so it's not really happy about doing this. And I broke into that bean, but look at this. So it actually changes color, and it is a lot more kind of leaning towards hot purpley pink, and it'll get really hot pink with a little bit of purple as it matures, and then when it dries, it's purple. So it's a fun bean for kids to grow. So I definitely suggest you get it. You can eat the pods. I have not done it. I've tried it raw. I didn't like it. I tried it cooked in an Asian stir fry, and I didn't like it. I don't know if the pod was too old, but it's just definitely not for me. So here's some more tomato plants that in my last videos, if you look, they were on like little TP trellises and they just got too heavy. I planted Brandywine tomatoes, a bunch of them this year, and each tomato is 1 pound to 2 pounds, and it was just way too much for these little trellises. So down they went. So we have crazy tomatoes going on the ground. I had hopes of adding these PVC pipes, which I've used before to hold up tomatoes, and I just haven't done it. So we're going to let them grow a little bit wild and just kind of enjoy the nature of what our garden is this year, which is a little bit of chaos, a little bit of pretty. And I think probably everybody can attest that their year has been obviously not what they expected it, but maybe a lot of us have gotten okay with things being a little bit more out of control than we would normally do in a year. And maybe that's a blessing that we can find in the midst of everything that is going on, is how to take everything a little bit more in stride with a little bit more peace and a little bit more understanding. You can see my sunflowers. This one is just a wild guy that came up. I decided to let it grow. It's not very pretty, but it will make really pretty cut flowers for my arrangements. And I have a new client that I'm taking bouquets to in the morning. So I think I'm going to take quite a few blooms from that for her tomorrow for those, along with some that are over here in this corner. And then some of my favorites this year have actually been the golds. And I'm normally not a fan. I like the more fun colors, the different things like these white night sunflowers here. But these have just really grabbed my attention, and they've sold really well at the market too. I think because they're different. You know, you have the fuzzies on the insides. The petals are a little bit shorter. They kind of look like a daisy and a sunflower had a baby. And then of course the teddy bears, which are right here, have definitely been all the rave this year. Really great sellers at market, and I just think they're gorgeous. They're just so pretty. Look at this little trio right here. We have had a little bit of a problem with some borers, which I need to look into it, but you can tell this one has at least one or two. maybe 3, where they just start burrowing into the sunflower and bore right into the stem. So it definitely does not make it so that we can use the sunflowers for cut flowers, and it damages them. So I've been watching quite a bit to make sure I take off those sunflowers when I see them. We have spaghetti squash in here, which this vine died, but it did give us a couple before it was done. And I have a bunch of squash that I need to come in here and pick. There's some black beauty zucchini, which is my absolute favorite zucchini. There are acorn squash, which will stay in here until the vine starts growing back or starts freezing back. So it's till late October. And then this is my 5 sisters row, which we've talked about that before. Usually people do the 3 sisters, which are corn, beans, and oh my goodness, how come I can't remember what the third one is? Corn, beans, and squash. And the beans put nitrogen in the soil for the corn, and the corn allows the beans to grow up the corn, and the squash provides shade. But I just have never had very good luck. I tried it this year, and I also added in 2 other sisters, which are the amaranth, which is right here, and then the sunflowers. And I think that this might be my last year growing corn. I'm just not very good at corn, and you really have to have a lot of room and rows to make a difference for preserving and eating. So I think I'm going to leave that one to our more professional farmers in the area and use our growing space for other more things on the farm. So I'm going to turn around here, kind of show you guys the front side of the farmhouse and kind of what it looks like with the sunflowers. And I am going to wrap up our tour. So thank you all for tuning in this month. I am so happy with how things have turned out in the garden. And of course, like every year, nothing turns out how it is supposed to. But I'm glad you're on the journey so that I can show you the changes and different things as they come along, what we're working on. And I hope you enjoy it. And we will see you in the next one.